Good morning, everyone. Happy Easter and welcome to Age Graceful Soulful Eats. How are you this beautiful, blessed morning? I'm doing pretty good. I've been up since about 5 a.m. preparing dinner for my family. We have a nice menu: ham, turkey and dressing, string beans with red skin potatoes, and peach cobbler, just to name a few. Then my sister will toss in some macaroni and cheese and some homemade rolls. But today I'm going to show you how to put together dressing, cornbread dressing, stuffing, some people would call it. And I'm using a chicken broth and some turkey drippings. I have some wings in the oven roasting, and they're just about ready, so I can use the broth off of those wings to put my dressing together. So if you want to see how I do this, stick around. Thank you. Okay, I am back. And for starters, to make this cornbread dressing that I call it, some people call it stuffing, you start off, you need to have a good rich broth or pan dripping. So I'm going to adjust my camera to show you the turkey that I have in the oven roasting. Let me open the oven first, and then I'm going to adjust the camera so that you can see. On top of the stove, that's just my big pot of string beans and red skin potatoes. And I have my roasting pan here. I'm going to use this glove here to pull out the rack so you can see this turkey. Here's my roasted turkey, and I have some drippings there that I'm going to reserve to go into my dressing. And I just seasoned these very lightly with, uh, I used Himalayan pink salt. I really like that. It doesn't take as much when you use the Himalayan pink salt. I also used black pepper. I used garlic powder and poultry seasoning. Poultry seasoning gives both your meats and your dressing a spectacular flavor. So now I'm going to adjust the camera so that you can see the ingredients that I'm going to use to make the dressing. Here on the countertop, I made a fresh pan of cornbread. On top, I reserved some cornbread from the last time I fixed greens, and I froze it. So I'm going to have enough dressing for my entire family. In addition to the cornbread, you're going to need celery. I use some bell pepper, and I use onion for my aromatics. I also use a sleeve of saltine crackers. I use poultry seasoning. I use sage. I have 2 containers of poultry seasoning there. I use sage, ground sage, and poultry seasoning. These are the main ingredients. I'll use a little bit of my soul seasoning that I use to season my fried chicken, just a little teeny bit. I'll use a can of cream of mushroom soup or cream of chicken or celery. It doesn't make a difference which one you use as long as you have a creamy base. And if it is still slightly dry after I add the broth, and I'll add some pet milk. So what I typically do is get my aromatics chopped up. I'm going to be using my Ninja for that. So while I get that set up, you guys can take a little break. I'll be right back. Okay, everyone, I am back. And while I was away, I did go ahead and prepare my aromatics. I have my onion, bell pepper, and my celery, and I cut it into pieces like this, about this size, so that it can fit into my Ninja, because the Ninja only holds about 2 cups. And I used the Ninja until I got it this consistency, real fine. I don't like big pieces in my dressing. So I'm going to do the last few of the veggies, and I reserve this just to show you. I do use the leaves. There is a lot of flavor in the leaves on the celery, so don't discard this. As long as it's fresh and firm and not wilted, go ahead and use these leaves. So I'm going to put these vegetables into my Ninja and try to get them in there evenly so it doesn't get stuck. I'll put my cap back on. I don't know if you guys can see with this pot in the way. And then I'm going to put my motor on top of the Ninja. And just a few quick pulses. Maybe a couple of more. Okay, I just have a couple of larger pieces of onion that did not want to break down. So I'm going to remove those because I don't want to make juice. And so this is what I have. Okay. And when you pulse it finely, it cooks so much quicker. Some people saute their aromatics. I like to boil mine because there's a few things that I add when I boil them. And then that liquid helps to moisten the cornbread for my dressing. So I'm going to try to get all of this out. I don't want to waste. My grandmother is coming back to my mind when she says don't waste. Okay, I think that's about it that I can get out. Okay, and also to this pot, let me adjust the camera so you can see. I'm going to add 4 cups of water. You can buy chicken stock, chicken broth, but I think if you make your own, everything just comes out so much better. I also add 1 stick of butter. And the butter gives it just a rich, velvety texture to your dressing. And I add my chicken soup base. And I'm going to be pretty liberal with this because I'm not going to add a lot of salt to the actual dressing. This soup base has sodium in it, so I'm using maybe a good, maybe a quarter of a cup. No, a little bit more than that, maybe a half a cup. Okay, so I have everything in the pot. I'm going to turn my camera so you can see. I'm going to place this on the stove so that it can boil until the veggies become tender. And I'm going to grab my lid. When you cover a pot that's boiling, if you use your lid, everything will cook much quicker. So I'm going to give that about 20 minutes to come to a boil. At that point, by the veggies being so small, it should be tender. And I'll come back and show you how to put this dressing together. Okay, I'll be back.